29 years ago tomorrow, a killer murdered the Dardeen family in cold blood.
Welcome to the crime series. Today we'll be discussing the Dardeen Family Massacre. Before we dive into the case, let's begin our discussion by introducing the background of the Dardeen family. Both Dardeens went by their middle names. Keith, a native of Mount Carmel. They bought the trailer in 1986 after completing the training required for his job as a treatment plant operator at the Rend Lake Water Conservancy District's nearby facility. Elaine, who was from Albion, a little closer to Ina, moved there later with their 2-year-old son, Peter. They rented the land it sat on from a nearby farming couple. Keith worked, and his wife found a job at an office supply store in Mount Vernon, the Jefferson County seat. When not working, the couple were part of the musical ensemble at a small Baptist church in the village. Keith sang lead vocals while Elaine played the piano. In 1987, Elaine became pregnant with the couple's second child. This new addition to the family would be one of the factors in the Dardeens' decision to move, the other being their concern for the unusually high crime rate of the area. In fact, 15 homicides had been committed in Jefferson County over the last 2 years. A friend of Keith said that after a 10-year-old girl had been raped and murdered in the area in May 1987, Keith became so protective of the family that one night, when a young woman came by the mobile home asking if she could make a phone call, he refused to let her in. Regardless, by late 1987, the Dardeens had put their trailer home up for sale, marking their plans to move as official. On November 18, 1987, Keith failed to arrive to work at the treatment plant. Being a reliable worker, Keith's failure to notify his supervisor of his absence was cause for concern. Numerous calls to Keith went unanswered, and eventually his supervisor contacted Keith's parents. Don Dardeen, Keith's father, contacted the police and agreed to meet them at the trailer to perform a wellness check that evening. What they would find when they checked inside the trailer would be unfathomable. Inside the trailer, tucked into the same bed, lay the bodies of Elaine, Peter, and a newborn girl. Elaine had been bound and gagged with duct tape. All three had been bludgeoned to death with Peter's baseball bat, a gift Keith had given him for his birthday. The beating Elaine received caused her to go into labor and deliver her daughter. The daughter would also be beaten to death with the bat. Whoever committed this crime also was not pressed for time. The assailant spent substantial time cleaning up the crime scene and tucking the victims in bed. There was also no sign of forced entry in the home. The only thing missing from the scene was Keith and his red 1981 Plymouth. With Keith missing, the police initially believed him to be responsible. A team of armed police began a manhunt for Keith. This manhunt would end the following day when a group of hunters discovered his body in a wheat field not far from the trailer. He had been shot 3 times, and his penis was also severed. Additionally, his car would be discovered outside of a police station in Benton, in plain view, as if the killers wanted it to be found. The crime scene would leave investigators puzzled, as no discernible motive has ever been found. Valuables in plain sight, such as a portable camera and a VCR player, remained untouched. Elsewhere in the house, jewelry and cash were left alone as well. These findings mean robbery was almost certainly not the motive. A small amount of marijuana was found in the home, which might make people assume a drug angle. But there is no evidence to suggest Keith was involved in dealing. Additionally, a sexual motive did not seem likely, as Elaine was not sexually assaulted. However, some have suggested the delivery of her daughter may have interrupted this. Moreover, if this was committed by a sexual sadist, the act of killing alone could certainly be all they wanted for their sick needs. For these reasons, a sexual motive can be dismissed. Police did allow, however, for the possibility that, while the Dardeens were chosen purposely, it may have been a case of mistaken identity by the killer or killers. News of the killings made area residents even more fearful than they had already been. Many residents began going about their daily business with shotguns visible in their vehicles' gun racks. After high school basketball games, students would wait in the school building for their parents to come in and accompany them to the parking lot for their ride home instead of socializing outside as they normally did. The circumstances under which Elaine gave birth perhaps posthumously to her short-lived daughter, gave rise to stories that Casey, as the family called her, had been ripped from her mother's womb. Along with the mutilation of Keith's genitals, this supported speculation that Satanists were active in the area and had performed a ritual sacrifice of the family. The crime was also posited to be the work, along with 3 other local unsolved murders, of a regional serial killer. Dr. Richard Garretson, a family physician who doubled as the Jefferson County coroner, told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in early December that many of his patients talked to him about the case and how it had disturbed them. One man who said he lived a half-mile from the Dardeens' trailer told Garretson he was having difficulty sleeping and had lost 14 pounds as a result of the stress. Also unable to sleep was the Dardeens' landlord's daughter, who told her parents years later that she kept her bedroom light on and read all night out of fear. Another serial killer in Texas would soon bring himself to the attention of the investigators in Illinois. On the last day of 1999, Tommy Lynn Sells cut the throats of 2 girls near Del Rio, Texas. One survived and helped police identify him. He was eventually convicted and sentenced to death for that murder, and another one earlier in 1999, where he had killed a girl in San Antonio. While he was awaiting trial on the first murder charge, he began confessing to other murders he had committed while drifting around the country. One of his confessions involved committing the murders of the Dardeen family, which made him forever connected to this case. According to his confession, when he saw the Dardeen trailer with its for sale sign, he saw an opportunity for a killing. After drinking beers and waiting for the right time, he knocked on the door and told a wary Keith he was interested in buying the trailer. He then overpowered Keith, made him bind and gag his wife and son with duct tape, and forced him to drive his car to the nearby field at gunpoint, where he sliced Keith's penis off, telling him he was going to take it back to Elaine, then shot him and left it there. At the trailer, he raped Elaine, then beat Peter, Elaine, and the newborn to death. After cleaning up, he drove Keith's car to Benton. There were many discrepancies about his confession, as it took him 21 guesses to finally point out the correct details of the crime scene. He also claimed the Dardeens approached him for a threesome. Some believe Sells has only muddled the investigation. Some are skeptical as to whether he is the true killer, including relatives of the Dardeens. By the time of Sells' 2014 execution, Joanne, the mother of Keith Dardeen, had come to believe he was not the man who killed her son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren. It seems like whoever killed the Dardeen family with such brutality would forever remain a mystery. And there is a high possibility for the killer to potentially be someone else who went on to live his life freely with no consequences. What do you think about the Dardeen Family Massacre? Comment down your thoughts below and subscribe for more content like this.